I did not want to become a Christian. I really did not. I had no desire to become a Christian. I worked my whole life to get the maximum freedom I could get. That's one of the reasons why we moved to America. I was working for a Dutch international company, and they were headquartered in Utrecht. That means if I was on the west coast, it's like 9,000 miles away from headquarters in 9 time zones. So by the time they figured out what I did, I already went to bed and they couldn't do anything anymore. So great way to get freedom in a big company. But I realized if I become a Christian, I get a new boss. And I get one I can't fool. I can't play tricks on. He knows exactly what I do. And I really didn't want to do it. I think that's one of the main reasons why many people don't want to become Christians. They just do not want the authority. They don't want to be accountable. They want to be independent. They want to do their thing. They want to live life to their definition. Now the main question becomes what to do with Jesus. And if you think about that for a moment, it is almost unimaginable why we're even talking about Jesus. Because from an early perspective, he really didn't do much, and he was sort of a failure because he didn't succeed. He was killed. He was killed on a cross like an ordinary thief. But still we do. And if you actually compare Jesus to the other great men in the world, when I talk to youth groups, I usually ask them, like, who are the great men of history? And you get names like Alexander the Great, Napoleon, Julius Caesar, George Washington. Some brave people might say George Bush, I don't know, or other names. You can fill them in yourself. But you know, if you look at the great leaders of the world, the great men of history, they all share the same characteristics. They were great during their lifetimes, and they were great because they had an army or some kind of power behind them, a lot of money behind them. Most of them basically died pretty rich and famous, but obviously they're all still dead. If you compare that to Jesus, he didn't have any of that. You know, they had a lot of power. Jesus had no power. They had a lot of wealth. Jesus had nothing. They had lots of people working for them. Jesus had 12 disciples, which we know through the Gospels, before the Holy Spirit came, they weren't necessarily the smartest bunch of all. They all died as important people. Jesus died as a criminal, and they're all still dead, but Jesus is alive. You have to think about what happened, you know, to put it in perspective. You have to realize that when Jesus was executed, he died on the cross. That was just about the most shameful way of dying. He died basically as an absolute nobody. At the moment that Jesus was crucified, the establishment had won. They basically had done what every establishment has done over the centuries when they wanted to get rid of an irritating rebel. You either kill him or you deport him to Siberia, which they used to do in the 50s and 60s. You get away, you get rid of him, you know. And that's what they did with Jesus. And then something happened. Something happened that turned the events completely around. Something happened that was so powerful that Jesus, who died as a criminal in an insignificant part of a nobody province in the Roman Empire, started a following where ultimately was so big that it overthrew the Roman Empire. You know, we now call our dogs Caesar and Nero, and we call our children Peter and Paul. So powerful is this change. He turned everything around. And the only explanation for that is obviously the resurrection. So God and I had a little struggle there, and obviously he won. I had no chance. So I committed my life and became a Christian. And to my own surprise, things really changed a lot in a very positive way.